Hi everybody, I'm Dr. John Kenneth Press, author of the book Culturism. As you can imagine, I'm overjoyed that you've come to this conference. Thank you very much, thank you very much, thank you very much, thank you. I think it's very important because having an alternative to multiculturalism, having culturism, can help save Britain and indeed Western civilization. Before getting to my main topic, I want to thank Jack Buckby for putting this conference on. And this is going to be an interactive video. So please, let's start with the interaction by having a round of applause for Jack Buckby. Please join me. Like Jack, you too can be a culturist hero every day by using the words culturism and culturist in your classroom discussions, your university papers, and your everyday conversations with your friends. As these words, culturism and culturist, spread throughout British society, politicians will have to contend with the idea that Britain actually does have a traditional majority culture to protect, promote, and preserve, and also look at the negative effects of cultural diversity. Today, I'd like to introduce you to a wonderful British culturist hero, Matthew Arnold.
And here you see this culturist hero, Matthew Arnold. And if you can't read it, he was born in 1822 and died in 1888. Matthew Arnold was a dandy, and people thought him good looking. He's ranked as the third best Victorian poet, and possibly the Victorian era's leading cultural critic.
In a moment, I'm going to ask you to raise your hand if you've heard of Matthew Arnold, so you can get a feeling of how many people in British society who you introduce him to will have heard of him. You may have actually already heard of Matthew Arnold. His poem Dover Beach is often in poetry anthologies, and by common accounts, he's the third most important Victorian poet. At the age of 31, he switched from poetry to social criticism. This is where he became known as a culturist, and his most famous book in this regard
is the 1869 classic Culture and Anarchy. And Matthew Arnold's father, Thomas Arnold, was also famous. He was the headmaster at your rugby school. Heard of it? The book Tom Brown's School Days chronicles Thomas Arnold's educational reforms at the rugby school. And there have been several movie versions of Tom Brown's School Days, but more importantly, many of Thomas Arnold's rugby graduates went on to run the British Empire.
So now, I'm going to ask you to raise your hand if you've heard of Matthew Arnold, Thomas Arnold, rugby school, culture and anarchy, any of the things we discussed, Dover Beach. And as I ask you to do these things, as I ask you to participate with me in these exercises, please do so. It's very important. They will lock the information into your head and make you a better culturist. So are you ready? Please do. Raise your hand if you've heard of Matthew Arnold, his father, the rugby school, Dover Beach, culture and anarchy, any of the things we just talked about.
Wonderful, thank you. Now you can put down your hands and you've got an assignment. Your assignment is to turn and tell your neighbor what you know of Matthew Arnold, Dover Beach, Culture and Anarchy, Thomas Arnold, the rugby school, Tom Brown's School Days, or maybe just anything in the Victorian era.
You have 2 minutes. Please begin.